How do you move on from a painful breakup? Welcome everyone to episode 1, season 2 of the Cope and Chill podcast. This season, it's all about the emotional health and well-being of empaths and highly sensitive people. Empaths and HSPs, as they are known, experience the same emotions as everyone else. So if you're not one of these types of people, you can still get something from this second season. But what's different about empaths and HSPs is that they feel very deeply and they struggle sometimes with emotions more intensely than others do. They feel it in a different way. And so everything we will share this season is meant to help everyone, but specifically focus on the needs of those who feel it most. In episode 1, we have Nick Kidawski, and he specializes in coaching and energy work for women in their 30s and 40s who are stuck after a devastating breakup and have tried every traditional method to cope with their pain. They learn how to connect with their heart's wisdom so they can feel at peace with their past relationships, rebuild their inner self-security, and move forward with ease. So if you're looking for some sound advice on how to move forward from a painful breakup, then this episode is for you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening to us from. And now, here's Nick Kidawski. Hey everyone, welcome to the Cope and Chill podcast. I have Nick Kidawski with me here. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Nick, for being here. Nick, why don't you start by telling us what it is you do and who you work with?
Yeah, thanks, Ron. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm really excited to have a good conversation with you.
Yeah.
So the work that I do, I help women that are struggling after a breakup, who want to really move past the negative thoughts and memories of their ex so that they can be at peace and they can feel more self-secure and they can quickly get back to their life.
Okay, and then what kinds of things show up in these women? What kinds of things do you see going on in these women as they come to you after these breakups? What are some of the symptoms?
Yeah, so, some of the things that they're struggling with, they usually have negative thought loops about their ex, meaning that they keep on thinking about them. They keep on thinking about certain instances that happened in the relationship. And they're basically just stuck in their head. It's hard for them to get out of their head about the relationship. They also have tried a number of things previous to coming to me. So some have tried therapy, where they kind of keep on talking about the same issue and over and over and over and don't really get the resolution that they're looking for. They have also tried listening to a bunch of podcasts, reading self-help books, listening to YouTube videos, that sort of thing. And then a large majority of them also tend to be empathic as well, meaning that they are just sensitive to the energy around them.
Mm.
So that also, plays a part into them trying to get over this breakup.
Yeah, so how does so we talked about how the women who come to you tend to be a bit more on the empathic or highly sensitive side, right? They're sensitive to other people's energies. Um, how do you think their struggle with the being stuck after the relationship, how does that connect to being an empath, do you think, or being highly sensitive? What are you noticing there?
Yeah, so really two things. So one of the things that I work with women on is I do energy work with them. So when we are in especially a relationship, we will give energy to that person, and then that person also gives energy to us.
Mhm.
So when we're in that relationship, sometimes it's very common to feel what the other person is feeling. So whether they're feeling angry or sad or happy. And what happens at the end of a relationship is that a lot of women will try what's called the no contact rule.
Yeah,
So that's where, when, after they break up,
yeah.
it's like not calling their ex, not texting them, no social media. And I believe that that doesn't really work for this reason, is because they're still energetically connected to their ex.
They
So
haven't let
they're
it
not
go.
only, yeah, so they're not only feeling their emotions about the breakup,
Mm,
but they're sometimes feeling their exes as well. So
wow.
that's one thing.
Yeah.
And then the second thing
Can
is
I
in
can
a
I pause you?
relation.
Can I pause you right there too? Because
Yeah, sure.
I'd heard a lot about the use of the no contact rule in terms of, yeah, what it might do for you, and maybe it might bring the ex back or something like that. And I am, I guess, late in life discovering that I'm a bit of I'm an empath myself, and
Mhm.
I've tried that no contact rule, and I almost think it's like more torturous for an empath to do it, right? Because you're just rolling around with all these emotions and things, trying to not act like they bother you,
Mhm.
when they actually, and we feel more intensely anyway. So it's like, this is, yeah, I'm not sure how it really helps those of us who are empathic, but you explain it very well in terms of you might be carrying two people's emotions at that time.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then, okay, so I interrupt you. I'm sorry. The second part.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
So the second part is that we can also go through an experience with our ex. So for some women, they are still carrying the experience of the moment when their ex said, "Hey, this isn't working out," or "I don't love you anymore." So when we go through that experience, we give energy to that experience, but that experience also leaves energy with us.
Mm,
So when that happens, again, we're feeling all of that in our body that's affecting our thoughts.
mhm,
So when I do energy work with women, which is called the Ivana method,
mhm,
I will re-exchange the energy between them and their ex. So giving their ex all their energy back and giving my client all of their energy back. Or I'll re-exchange energy with the experience. So giving all of their energy back from the experience, and then also the that energy that the experience leaves with them as well. So basically what that creates in the end is it takes the emotional charge out of the experience, or it helps them to energetically disconnect from their ex, so
mm,
that when they think of their ex or when they think of that experience, there's no longer that emotional charge behind it or connected to it. So that makes it so much easier for them to move on and to kind of be in their own energy again, which will bring a lot of clarity, and it'll make it easier for them to make decisions, to see opportunities to move forward, where maybe they might have had difficulty with that because of this previous connection with their ex or with an experience that they went through.
So that's pretty amazing. If you can help empaths and HSPs separate those entangled emotions of themselves and others, and, as you say, send the energy on its way back to the other person, and then help them sort of regain their own energies or come reconnect with them. How so? What is it you do, or how do you do? Are you able to share what it is you do to help them? What's that experience like?
Well, it's really advanced energy work that I do.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm finding exactly where they're holding that experience. So, for example, we're more than just our physical body, right? So they might be holding it in their physical body, they might be holding it in their emotional body, their mental body, their spiritual body, or even their energetic body.
Mhm.
So once I kind of find where that is, then it's an easy way of saying it is it's just holding the intent to allow that re-exchange of energy to take place.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Now, are these the heart-centered tools, some of the heart-centered tools you mentioned previously when we spoke, or what are the heart-centered tools and what do they do for people? How are they different from what you just mentioned?
Yeah, sure. So, after a breakup, it can be very common for women to be draining a lot of their energy because, again, they can get stuck in thought loops of their ex. They can be experiencing feelings of sadness or anger or rejection. And someone can only drain so much of their energy before there's really no energy left to move forward, you know?
So help me
So
understand when we talk about after the breakup, there's a drain in energy is
yeah.
because I can so again going back to my own experience when there are certain people I talk to as I'm talking to them I can feel a drain of energy, right?
Mhm.
What is what's the source of the drain after the breakup? Where is that coming from, or how are they being drained after the disconnection with that other person?
Yeah, so that source of drain, it can be that they're still connected to their ex.
Mm.
That can be one possibility.
Mhm.
Another possibility is just
So
all of
the separation from the ex, is that the drain that they're no longer they're still connected probably emotionally, but physically they're no longer
Mhm.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, so the drain can be that they're still energetically connected to their ex and they're still passing energy between one another.
Mm.
So that's where their ex can still be draining some of their energy because
Ah,
they still
okay.
have that connection.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then another way would be that, like I was saying, they're just feeling so many depleting emotions. So feeling sad, feeling angry, feeling rejected. And where the heart centered tools come in, one of the very first things that I do with them is we take a look at okay, specifically, where are you draining your energy around this breakup? And I have them literally write it down so that
Mm.
they can see it.
Okay.
And then from there, I coach them on a foundational heart centered technique called heart focused breathing.
Mhm.
And how that relates to depleting energy when we go through a breakup. Uh, the heart, the heart's rhythms, rather, are in direct correlation to the emotions that we feel.
Mhm.
So when we're feeling sad and angry and rejected after a breakup, we're sending a very erratic signal from our heart up to our brain. And that is keeping us in like a fight or flight or survival mode.
Mm.
So when someone is under a great deal of stress after a breakup, um, I'm sure you've had periods where you felt stress in your life, right? You
Well,
drain.
yeah, I was going to say, or the thing that was coming to my mind as you were explaining this is
Hmm.
trapped emotions, right? Emotions that are
Hmm.
trapped because they continue to just circle around in your body. And, as you say, you sometimes, depending on the trauma that you might have experienced, can sort of, you can lock into this fight or flight heightened arousal response in your body, kind of thing. That's what was coming to mind as you were explaining this. Perhaps you meant something a little different, but
Yeah, something a little bit different, but I can definitely talk about stored emotions as well. So you're sending this erratic signal from your heart up to your brain, keeping you stuck in fight or flight mode. And that also, what it does is it causes you rather to have a tunnel vision so that you're not really able to see a way forward. So again, when you're feeling those depleting emotions, you can only feel them for so long before you have very little energy to change. So again, coaching them through this heart-focused breathing, what that does is it starts to plug those energy drains in the moment, so they're no longer draining their energy. And it also changes that signal from the heart up to the brain so that it's nice and smooth and coherent. And what that does is that turns off those centers in the brain that are causing that fight or flight response. And it also helps to start to bring balance to the nervous system as well. So, if you want, Ron, I can kind of coach you and your listeners through the heart focused breathing.
Let's do it.
So they can get an experience of that. Yeah, cool.
Absolutely.
All right. So when you're ready, I invite you to just go ahead and bring your attention down to your heart or your chest area. And if it's comfortable for you, you can even put your hand on that area if you want. And you just want to start to slow down your breathing. So just finding a nice, easy, comfortable rhythm for yourself. And when you're ready, I invite you just to make a sincere attempt just to connect with your heart. And as you breathe in, you just want to imagine your breath flowing into your heart or your chest area. And as you breathe out, you just want to imagine your breath flowing out of your heart or your chest area. And you can just continue this heart focused breathing just for the next couple of seconds. And I'm curious, Ron, just with doing that for a couple of seconds, how are you feeling in your body right now? Maybe what do you notice, with your mind?
I think, well, I was just starting to feel a sense of relaxation. But it was, it was slow. I think the initial focus I had was my hand was a little higher up than where my heart was. I was like, I
Oh,
was wondering why I
sure.
couldn't connect. And then I sort of lowered my hand. It's like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, it was starting to feel peaceful, starting to feel tranquil. Yeah. And it sort of seemed to start to spread. It was starting to spread throughout my body. I think there were still other parts of my body that weren't quite as relaxed just yet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's great. So that's a very simple heart-centered tool that your audience can use when they're finding themselves just stuck in their head about their ex, or maybe they're kind of reminiscing about a time that they, had spent with them. That heart focused breathing technique, it also helps to kind of take a lot of the energy out of the head and bring it down to the wisdom of the heart.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, and I
And
think
like,
yeah, go ahead.
oh yeah, and I was just saying, and that, like I was saying, it starts to bring balance to the nervous system, and that's kind of what you were feeling a little bit.
Yeah.
As you said, you were feeling more relaxed, and you could kind of feel things start to move downward and outward.
Yeah, it's a centering and a grounding practice, a very simple one that you can do. I agree, and it can be done anywhere, anytime. It reminds me of some of the self-compassion practices that I learned from Kristen Neff. And there were other things you could do, not necessarily heart focused, but in terms of providing compassionate holds for yourself, the physical touch, things like that.
Hmm.
um and I think the other thing that you mentioned too, which is similar to prior discussions that we've had, is that and you kind of just said it, it's like you use the word heart, getting your focus down into your heart instead of your head. But so much of
Hmm.
what I had shared with the audience prior to this was, generally speaking, about getting out of your head and into your body, right? So
Hmm.
so we're now just focusing on a specific part of our body. But yeah, the wisdom of the body and the wisdom, as you say, of the heart is
Hmm.
that we're giving ourselves a chance to, as you say, there's a real physiological aspect to this where we are uh balancing out the two nervous systems, right, to get back
Hmm.
to center. So there's a real physiology behind this. That's awesome. So in terms of those who are breaking up or who have broken up from relationships, and how often does someone have to do this? Are there other things that you do, if it does this always work, or are there other practices you tend to have to do if your client isn't showing progress, or are they, or do they?
Yeah. So the wonderful thing about working with the heart is that my clients, they see results very quickly.
Mhm.
Um, because there is that physiological kind of scientific, background of it. Um, uh, so when I work with them, I usually give them homework. So for example, with the heart focused breathing, I would say, okay, put a reminder on your phone 3 times a day. You might do it, morning, afternoon, evening, that just says heart focused breathing.
Mm,
Because in the busyness of the day, it can be so easy to forget.
yeah, yeah.
So having that little reminder on the phone can help.
Hmm.
And then as far as practicing the heart focused breathing, I just have them start with 3 minutes, 3 times a day.
Okay. I was going to ask you
And
what's the duration. Yeah, 3 minutes. Okay.
uh, yep. And so what that does is that just helps them to get into the practice of consistently bringing their attention and their focus back down to the wisdom of their heart. So, what they do is they practice that for a week, and then we get back together and I'll just ask them, how was that for you? How are you feeling? Did you have any challenges?
Hmm.
And the heart focused breathing, that's really just kind of the tip of the iceberg
Okay.
that I do with them.
Yeah.
Um, Getting back to the trapped emotions that you were talking about,
Yeah.
when we go through a breakup, we can store past emotions really anywhere in our body, but we can especially store them around our heart.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is that kind of forms like this wall around our heart.
Mm.
And the wisdom of the heart does that to protect the heart from being hurt or from being broken.
Yeah.
So it's okay to have those stored emotions around the heart when we're going through a breakup,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not something that you want to be like lifelong.
Right.
You
Yes.
don't always want to have them there.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing this, coaching them rather on this heart focused breathing, using the Ivana method, what I do is I find where those stored emotions are and I neutralize those past stored emotions around their heart so that we're kind of like wiping the slate clean, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So, using the heart focused breathing and doing what I was just talking about, that kind of sets the groundwork for us to start to work deeper with the energy work and also learn more advanced heart centered techniques, such as using the wisdom of the heart to start to renew and to rebuild your energy after a breakup,
Mm-hmm.
and also start to really deeply connect with your heart's intuition.
Mm.
And when the women that I work with do that, what they ultimately discover was that the majority of the answers that they were looking for outside of themselves around their breakup are really accessed through their heart's intuition.
And so so I imagine that, your heart's intuition is always there.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it that clouds that coming out of a relationship? How do they lose connection to that? Is it because of the intense emotions, or what happens generally inside of a person?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that they never lose it. I would just say it gets kind of clouded or covered over
Mm-hmm.
by the depleting emotions that they're feeling after the breakup.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I always tell my clients that it's okay to feel depleting emotions. It's okay to feel all emotions, actually.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
it's just that with the depleting emotions, it's okay to feel angry or feel rejected, but how long do you want to feel that emotion? How long do you want to deplete your energy before you make the choice of, okay, I want to feel a different emotion so that I can start to renew my energy and I can start to move forward?
Mm. And if you were to, since you say that um, you tend to attract those who are a bit more on the empathic side or highly sensitive side
Mm-hmm.
as clients, what's one thing that you've observed in working with them that we should know? What's one thing, either in terms of what kind of need they have coming to you, or maybe as an outcome after working with you? What's one thing that you think would be good to know?
Hmm. Well, I would say that if someone is stuck in their head with the negative thought loops about their ex or memories or experiences, really what I've found and what my clients find is that one of the easiest, most efficient ways to stop that negative thinking or to calm it down is actually not to really work with the mind itself, but to work with the wisdom of their heart.
Mm.
It's the heart that actually calms down the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when they reconnect with the wisdom of their heart, they're actually really connecting to their emotional core, to their authentic self, rather than the ego of their mind. And reconnecting with their authentic self, that's really where a lot of healing can take place.
Mm-hmm. So the connection to the authentic self is through the heart. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. So Nick, tell us, if someone would like to work with you, how could they get in touch with you? What kinds of things could you offer them? What would you like to share?
Yeah, thanks.
Mhm.
So, I have a heart-centered breakup toolkit that they can get on my website. So they can just go to cultivatewellnessnow.com.
And we
And
have the links that we'll put in the show notes, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then that heart-centered breakup toolkit, it has a couple of audios and PDFs that goes a little bit deeper into the heart-focused breathing that I led your audience through. And it also has a couple of other exercises that they can do where they'll start to see, immediate results with practicing those exercises. And then, yeah, as far as working with me, I mean, they can just schedule a consultation with me. And I typically will go over their number one concern and, just we just have a conversation to see how I can help them, what they're going through, if we're a fit, that sort of thing.
And do you only offer one-on-one services, or are there group coaching sessions, or any other
Yeah.
offerings that you have?
Yeah. So I only do one-on-one sessions. Being an empath myself, I find it a lot easier to just manage my own energy while I work with someone.
Mhm.
I've worked with groups in the past, and it's honestly, Ron, for me, it's just like a lot of energy to kind of manage,
Yeah,
within a group.
sure, sure, sure. Well, this has been awesome. Any other last words, last parting words that you'd like to share with the audience before we go?
Yeah, I'll just say that, the wisdom of your heart is always available to you 24/7. And the majority of answers that you're looking for, after your breakup to help you to heal are there. And I would be happy to help you to re-access that wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you. I actually felt a sense of calm as you were even saying that. So I really appreciate all that you had to share with us today, Nick, and I truly thank you for being here and making time for us. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you were able to take some inspiration or something of value from today's show. To access all of the resources and links mentioned, please head on over to copeandchill.com or our video-based podcast on our YouTube channel at Cope and Chill, where you will find the show notes for today's episode. That's Cope and Chill, CopeandChill.com. And for information about upcoming episodes, check us out on Instagram at Cope and Chill. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're joining us from YouTube, and leave a comment wherever you're joining us from. Please come back and join us again for next week's episode. But until then, take care of yourselves.